When a guy finally opened this locked box, he discovered the keys to another mystery. On June 14, 2018, an Imgur user with the handle MyCoffeeArtJourney posted a photo of a box next to a banana. The banana was just there for scale, of course, but the box itself was an enticing proposition. So too was the post title. I found a locked safe box at a council checkout. And just like that, an epic journey of discovery seemingly began. The unofficial rule about posting about locked boxes or safes on Imgur is that they must eventually be opened. If the original poster, or OP in Imgur speak, fails to abide by this rule, they risk provoking the ire of other users. It's not surprising then that my coffee art journey's first line of description read, "I'm going to try and open the box." In fact, it seems that the uploader's first thought had been to attempt to live stream their box opening efforts. Unfortunately, however, the technical capabilities required to do this are apparently not part of Imgur's tech. The updates were therefore not forthcoming. "Okay, I'll do this offline and post when I'm finished," the OP later promised. So with the live stream idea proving a dead end, my coffee art journey seemingly resorted to the tried and tested method instead. And that's doing the deed offline and reporting back on it later. This led to the OP sharing an update the following day. This new post was, in fact, given a parenthesized part 1, so you just knew that there was going to be plenty of intrigue. The first line of the new post also promised that there would be more updates to come. "I'll show you where I'm at now and do a part 2 later," my coffee art journey wrote. The uploader then reaffirmed that they'd originally found the box in a council checkout. Presumably this means that they picked it up for free before the council had gotten rid of it. However, the OP had subsequently gotten hold of the box, though they had apparently already given it a little shake. My coffee art journey admitted that there was, after all, something inside the box, and while they evidently didn't know what it was, the Imgurian guessed that it sounds like a few coins. The only thing left to do then was to crack open the thing. Unfortunately for my coffee art journey though, this was seemingly going to be a harder task than they may have originally thought. In fact, the uploader believed that somebody else had already tried their luck getting into the box. From the looks of it, a previous treasure seeker had attempted to drill into the rear of the box to force it open. This clearly hadn't worked, however. But the new hole did apparently give the OP a chance to have a closer look at the locking mechanism, and that seemingly gave him an idea. Using what my coffee art journey ominously referred to as their picks, like everybody has a set of lock picks hanging around, the Imgurian apparently tried to open the lock themselves. Alas, this also seemed to fail, but the OP believed they knew why. "The shaft just spins freely," they wrote. The Imgurian also offered an explanation as to why the shaft supposedly wasn't working. "I'm assuming the person broke the lock and was unable to open it," they wrote. Specifically, my coffee art journey seemed to think that the drill used in the creation of the hole had damaged the shaft that would open the box. The next experiment that my coffee art journey claimed to undertake was, well, jamming a pencil into the drill hole. Yet, according to the uploader, the pencil just pressed the lock keys down without making any difference to the shaft. The box therefore remained distinctly closed. So the OP then seemingly decided to bring out the heavy machinery. "To the garage," my coffee art journey exclaimed. "I have an axle grinder." The only problem was that the Imgurian apparently had no idea how to operate said instrument without causing themselves harm. "It just makes me sweat looking at it," they admitted. Yet that evidently wasn't going to get in the way of them opening this box. So the next thing that my coffee art journey reported doing was clamping the box down. Then they allegedly tried out the grinder on the box's steel exterior. This first attempt seemingly didn't go very well though. "Had to stop and change my underwear," the uploader confessed, presumably with their tongue lodged firmly in their cheek. Regardless of whether my coffee art journey actually did require a fresh pair of undergarments, they were apparently back to their box opening antics shortly afterwards. And it seemed that they were still determined to give the angle grinder a shot. So what was the plan of attack? Why, to slice into the top, of course. Except that cutting through the steel reportedly wasn't as easy as it looked. "It makes a horrible noise," my coffee art journey wrote. And what's more, the small-scale action apparently left the Imgurian's safety goggles with a bit of a visibility problem. So a change of tactic was evidently called for. "How about if I grind the hinges off the back?" my coffee art journey pondered. The idea was probably that if the OP could somehow crack through the hinges, then the box's top would just pop open. There seems to be some logic to this after all. How could a panel stay closed without any hinges? All the uploader seemingly managed to do, however, was create a little bit of a dent in the back of the box. Not even close, my coffee art journey admitted. But if at first you don't succeed, then try again. And that was exactly what the OP intended to do. Alas, the second attempt supposedly proved just as fruitless as the first. It also appeared to extremely frustrate the uploader. Are they fake hinges? How can they be so thick? My coffee art journey raged. The angle grinder apparently also left the box too hot to handle. The Imjurian therefore said they'd take a break before trying it again later. The OP couldn't have been gone too long though, because part 2 of this epic journey was posted on the same day as the first installment. One thing that had seemingly changed in the interim, however, was my coffee art journey's choice of tool. Yes, the angle grinder was now apparently a thing of the past. So what was the plan this time around? Well, it seems that my coffee art journey was going to adopt a more subtle tactic than grinding the box into submission. In fact, the Imjurian suggested that their new aim simply involved drilling out the lock. And it seems that this strategy was much more successful than the last one. Drilled out, my coffee art journey triumphantly explained. This was accomplished by an image that seemingly offered a better view inside the locking mechanism. So when the exterior lock had been in place, it had presumably been used to turn these pins to pop open the lid. Without the lock though, it was evidently time to crack out the picks again. My coffee art journey had already documented a failed attempt at using the picks, of course. This time around then, they seemingly made a few adjustments to their approach in order to guarantee success. And the first step towards this was apparently placing the still locked box into a mount. I mounted the box in a better position and put a torsion wrench in the lid to provide a bit of feel, the Imjurian wrote on their post. In case you didn't know, a torsion wrench or tension wrench is another piece of lockpicking gear. Specifically, it helps to hold down the lock's manipulated pins while the user figures out how to pick the others. Alas, it was seemingly to no avail. The levers never caught, and the box torsion had no effect on the levers, my coffee art journey revealed. Fortunately for those fully invested in this endeavor though, the OP apparently had a plan B, and that was evidently the use of a multi-tool. My coffee art journey then chose this moment to include a picture of their robot scorpion. It appears that this has little to do with opening the box. In fact, it was posted in order to make sure readers were still paying attention. Earlier on, after the OP wrote, I'll be posting a random image further down to confuse those who aren't reading. After the scorpion, it was back to the main event. According to the post, my coffee art journey then used their multi-tool to finally prise the lid of the box open, just enough to work with. They then supposedly jammed a screwdriver into the newly created gap and whacked it even wider. And with that, the container was seemingly ready to reveal its secrets. Well, almost ready. The Imjurian, it seems, didn't want to give up the goods right away. So instead, they shared this picture of the still closed box and a clean workspace. Tidying the bench, making the suspense last a little longer, my coffee art journey wrote cheekily. But it only delayed the inevitable for one more slide. And here it is, the moment that everybody's been waiting for. So after all the uploader's evident hard work, my coffee art journey revealed that the inside of the box was a set of keys. Oh, the OP wrote. That would actually seem to be a pretty accurate reflection of what all the readers had no doubt been feeling too. My coffee art journey then confessed. Before you ask, there were no safes or locked doors in the council checkout for these keys. But regardless of the underwhelming income, the OP concluded that they had fun during the journey. And it should be noted that not every open the box tale has a downbeat ending. Just take this story for example. This tale was shared by the Imjurian Thorhees on December 2nd, 2014. The opening picture in her post was of a blue safe that had evidently been manufactured by Summit. Thorhees accompanied the photo with the caption, "I've had this plastic safe for a while and I heard Imjur likes safes." Fortunately, there was very little messing around when it came to getting inside the safe. Thorhees revealed its contents in just the third photo of the gallery, in fact. So for the rest of the post, she presented close-ups of many of the items hidden inside the safe. After a brief look at Thorhees' 2009 homecoming passport, she offered a glimpse at the dozens of ticket stubs she'd apparently retrieved from the safe. The assorted collection featured movie tickets, Broadway tickets, and gig tickets. One dated back as far as 1994, so it seems that this Imjurian might be something of a hoarder. It's intriguing to note the varied interests exhibited in Thorhees' display. If you look closely at the concert stubs, for instance, you'll see the names of heavy metal bands such as Megadeth, Iron Maiden, and Lamb of God. But if you then take a peek at the movie stubs, you'll find family-friendly films including WALL-E, Spider-Man, and The Pink Panther. Voorhees then showed off some souvenirs from her school days. These, for instance, are old coach tickets, and apparently they were a big deal at her elementary school at the time. The Imjurian also revealed some other bits and bobs from her younger days, including novelty erasers and a bunch of stickers. Clearly, the safe has been used to collect sentimental keepsakes from throughout Voorhees' life. Take this next item, for example. At first glance, it perhaps just looks like a leftover piece of trash. But in actual fact, it's the wrapping from the Imjurian's first ever bottle of booze. Moving swiftly on, Voorhees then displayed a see-through box from, by the looks of things, Texas. And inside the box are what appear to be some pretty stones. But if you really look closely, you might just spot a pair of, hopefully, Voorhees' old fallen out teeth. Nice. The next thing that Voorhees offered was a close-up of some currency. There's a $2 bill on display here, as well as a few US and UK coins among other miscellaneous cash. The $2 bill is perhaps the most interesting though, as it's relatively rare to see them in circulation, or at least they're not as common as $1 bills. In any case, the note was eye-catching enough for the OP to store it in a safe. Voorhees, it seemed, had apparently stored these Discovery Zone tokens, probably as another keepsake from her past. Discovery Zone was, you see, a kind of indoor, soft play and arcade destination for kids. And presumably, to play on its game consoles, consumers needed one of these tokens. They're of no use now, though, as Discovery Zone closed for good in 1999. The Imjurian certainly seems to have a thing for coins, as she seemingly collected a couple of other noteworthy pieces. In particular, there's a $50 featuring the likeness of President John F. Kennedy and a bicentennial quarter. The latter was created in the mid-70s to celebrate, you guessed it, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Finally, Voorhees brought her post to a conclusion by exhibiting a coin, seemingly still in its wrapping, featuring Bill Clinton on the obverse. "Where did I even get this?" she asked. Well, that's hard to say. But if the Imjurian is ever in need of a commemorative presidential coin, she now knows exactly where to find one.